Greetings everyone and welcome back to 365 Days of Prog. Today we're going to be reviewing Joy of a Toy by Kevin Ayers.
Hi, my name's Naomi. I'm an avid progressive rock fan, but I'm a long ways from knowing all the prog albums out there. But this year, I'm gonna give it a try. This is 365 Days of Prog.
Am I saying his name correctly? Is it Kevin Ayers, or is it Kevin Ayers, or is it Kevin Ayers? I don't know. I really have no idea. I should probably go and check out some interviews with him because I have no idea. But anyway, let's check out some of my favorite bits from this album. So Kevin Ayers from The Soft Machine was basically unable to keep up with the touring schedule of the band at the time, and being somewhat lazy, he decided to leave the band, fly to Ibiza and write some songs, and those appeared in this album and it's what he created. Now this one is called Joy of a Toy, which is the same name of a song that he wrote for the debut album of The Soft Machine, and appropriately this album opens up with a song called Joy of a Toy Continued. Now, Kevin Ayers, as I said, is known to be one of those people who are very influential and very talented. He's a very interesting player in The Soft Machine and what he does alone and with other people. He plays the bass mainly, but he also sings, and I think he knows how to play the guitars and the keyboards and other stuff, so he's very talented and a multi-instrumentalist. But his Achilles heel is basically being sort of lazy and not propelling his career to where it could have been when he had the chance to. And if I overall had to compare this album to anything else that I know of, I would say that this album sounds kind of whimsical and quirky, like the music of Syd Barrett with Pink Floyd, and I like that very, very much. I like the early years of Pink Floyd. I think they have some really nice gems, nice relics inside of there, and he did collaborate with Syd Barrett on a song on here, but it did not feature in the actual album, but only in the exclusive version of this album in a song called Religious Experience. Now, as for Ayers, I cannot say for sure, but something tells me that because he plays the bass and also sings, that this dissonance between playing the rhythm and singing the melody or singing the harmony is what causes his voice and singing to sound some like a narrator telling a story more than actual singing, and I personally actually quite liked it. I think it's kind of cool and it gives his own unique spin on the way that he does things. Now, this album is considered to be a part of the Canterbury scene, and honestly, I can totally see it. It's very whimsical, it's very humoristic, from the song titles to the lyrics to the instrumentation found on here, and while remaining more accessible than other Canterbury bands, I'm talking about Ueg, one can still feel the spirit of Kent in this music. So if you consider yourself a fan of an album like Relics by Pink Floyd, you're gonna probably like this album quite a bit, and as for myself, I really like the things that Pink Floyd made and put on Relics, so specifically this album hit some really good buttons with me. And while all the songs on here are pretty good and even somewhat great, I think that the song that really, hit me most closest was The Lady Rachel. That song, for some reason, despite just being, lovely and overall, it actually invoked this sense of nostalgia within me, and I don't know why, but it made me feel, younger than I am, which is not a lot. And I liked it very, very much, and it gets this unfair advantage above all else because it really evoked some emotion out of me. But honestly, I don't really have a lot to elaborate about most songs on here. Every single one tells this unique story of theirs, and it's all whimsical and very, very fun, but as a whole, you don't really have an entire concept that ties this album together. You just have this really nice amalgamation of a lot of tiny works made by Ayers. Oh, and before I end off this section of the review, I have to note out something. So you have the last track called All This Crazy Gift of Time, and that's a lovely track on its own, but the thing is, it has this really lovely harmonica solo which I have no idea who's playing it. I looked at the credits for this album, I tried researching, and I couldn't find anyone who was credited for the harmonica, and that would usually not bother me, but the fact is someone here is playing masterfully on this instrument, does a fantastic job, and I really want to know who it is. So if you have any idea about it, write it down in the comments. So this cover is a lovely cover that pops a lot of times in Prog archives, Prog sites, Prog videos, and I like it very, very much. And I think that this subconscious exposure made me want to listen to this album more when I realized I put it on the list. And I love the simple imagery of it, I love the yellow backdrop, the yellow background, it just looks very, very fine, and I like the fact that the toys are basically coming to life, much like you'd expect from a child playtime session. It really looks all the more genuine in this fashion. And I have no idea, but I think that my version that I downloaded has the text, like the album title and the name of Kevin, not centered on the cover. Maybe I'm just wrong, maybe it's the actual cover and that's how it looks, but it kind of bothers me, but at the same time it doesn't, and I don't know, because it complements the cover, but it does ruin my OCD, so that's a thing. But yeah, this is a great example of somewhat minimalistic cover. It doesn't really have all that much, but it doesn't have too little, and it really balances it out in the end, and I like it for that reason a whole lot more. And when it comes to the rating of this album, this one gets a whimsical 8 out of 10 for being quite a good album. This might be higher than the average score of this album, but honestly I myself really like this type of music, not to the point where I think it's fantastic, but to the point where I can really enjoy this album from start to finish. But that's about it guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for tomorrow because we're going to be listening to The Darkened Room by the band Is as in IZZ, yes. So that's about it guys, have a wonderful day and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye guys.